Welcome to my study skills video on exam preparation strategies. My name is Alison Parry and I am the Capilano University Learning Specialist. In this video, I will show you how to prepare for exams and engage in a concentrated exam review. While it's important to study regularly throughout the term, come exam time, you will need to implement some additional study strategies. These strategies will help you to organize, refresh, and practice retrieving previously learned material. In order to prepare well for an exam, you need to know as much as possible about the exam itself. For example, you will need to know what topics the exam will cover, where the questions will come from, such as lectures, readings, or videos, and what the format of the exam questions will be. Will they be multiple choice, application, or essay questions? Knowing this information will help you to know what to expect and where and how to focus your study time and energy. Once you know what you are preparing for, the next step is to make a study plan. The purpose of a plan is to determine which topics you will review and when. If you are preparing for a midterm or final exam, it's important that you allow at least 7 days of review time in order to be able to distribute your time effectively and implement the spacing effect. The spacing effect was first discovered by Hermann Ebbinghaus in the 19th century. Ebbinghaus discovered that if people spaced out their practice of a memory task, they outperformed people who engaged in mass practice. For example, someone who studied a topic for 1 hour a day for 3 consecutive days would remember significantly more than someone who studied the same topic for 3 consecutive hours, all on the same day. The reason for this is twofold. First, the brain needs time to consolidate and process new information. This important work takes place in between study sessions and when we sleep. Second, the space in between study sessions results in a small amount of forgetting. This forces the brain to work hard to remember the previously studied material. Working hard makes the brain's neurons fire hard and often, which results in the neurons wiring together or forming a new memory. Remember that if you want your neurons to wire, you have to make them fire. In addition to spacing out your study time, another way to enhance your learning and memory is by studying in a variety of places. Many people think it's best to always study in the same location. However, when you do this, your recall of the information becomes associated with one specific place. By studying in a number of different locations, you train yourself not to be dependent on any one set of context clues and are therefore better able to recall the information in the exam room. As we do tend to make associations between what we are learning and where we are learning it, studying in the exam room or a similar room will certainly help your recall. As well as studying in different locations, research also shows that our memory and recall is enhanced when information is organized and summarized. While organizing information makes it more structured and meaningful, summarizing reduces the amount of information to be stored. Summary sheets can take a number of different forms. One type of summary sheet is called a basic outline. This type of summary is good for organizing material made up of several main points that are expanded by important details. As can be seen by this example, the outline makes it clear which details belong to which main points and helps to break the material down into small, manageable study units. Another type of summary sheet is the comparison chart. A comparison chart can help you see the similarities and differences between the things you are learning. In this example, a comparison chart is being used to show the difference between 3 of the theories of forgetting. Comparison charts are easy to make on a computer and involve putting the topics to be compared down the left-hand side and the grounds of comparison across the top. Mind maps or graphic organizers also make good summary sheets, especially when you need to break down and be able to visualize the component parts of a topic. This type of summary sheet also works well for students who tend to remember images better than text. To make a mind map, simply put the topic in the center of the page and write its component parts around the outside. Now draw borders around the topic and component parts and link them together with a line. Finally, space the key details around each related component part, also using a line to show the association. To make the mind map even more visually impactful, you can use different shapes and colors for the center and component parts of the map. Finally, a good way of organizing and summarizing information that requires a lot of repetition and rehearsal is by making flashcards. For example, many students use flashcards to remember terms and definitions. While this works well for many students, it's important to put definitions in your own words and include an example on your card to ensure you understand the term and know how it can be applied. While some students make flashcards by hand, many others now use free software programs and apps such as Quizlet to make them. Many textbooks also have digital flashcards available on their companion website. However you make them, remember to put the term on one side and the definition on the other so you can test yourself both inductively and deductively. You're probably wondering what I mean by the terms deductive and inductive. Learning deductively means that you look at the term or the main idea and then try and recall the related definition or supporting details. While this is a good way to initially learn material, you also need to practice looking at the details and recalling which main idea they relate to. We call this learning inductively. Recalling information inductively will prepare you well for the application questions that are common in university exams. In application questions, you are often presented with a detailed scenario. You then have to decide which main points or ideas the details in the scenario represent. This involves inductive thinking. Another way to study inductively is to look at examples or diagrams and then practice recalling what the diagrams are about and what the examples illustrate. For example, if you were studying psychology, you could use this diagram to practice recalling and explaining the concept of classical conditioning. When you are using your summary sheets, flashcards, or diagrams to study, your memory of the information will be improved if you rehearse the information using your visual, auditory, and kinesthetic senses. We call this multisensory rehearsal, or the see, say, do method. It is currently believed that we store visual, auditory, and kinesthetic information in different areas of the neocortex. Consequently, your memory can be easily improved simply by engaging with new information in a variety of ways using a variety of senses. The more ways information is stored in the brain, the more likely you are to recall that information come exam time. The final exam preparation strategy I'm going to share with you is the strategy of doing practice tests. Practice tests can typically be found in textbooks and on companion websites. You can also make up your own test questions and practice answering them alone or in a study group. Doing practice tests gives you feedback about what you know and what you need to rehearse more. They also reduce your exam anxiety as you have practice predicting and pulling together the answers to possible test questions. For additional information or help preparing for your exams, please make an appointment to see the learning specialist by calling 604-984-1744 or by visiting the Counselling and Learning Support Department in Birch 267.